What a day it was yesterday to talk about some high-frequency trading, and I know Rick Santelli is going to cover that a little bit more. Rick?
Absolutely, Carl, and we have a great guest for this topic, especially on a day where we had the ISM non-manufacturing. Analyst from TABB Group, senior analyst, Paul Rowady, welcome.
Good to be here, Rick.
All right, I've had an issue with this, and we are not, when we talk about, and what we're talking about specifically is how algorithms and HFT traders, how they deal with numbers like ISM. But the issue isn't necessarily that they get anything before 10 o'clock Eastern. It's the distribution afterwards. Maybe you can explain this simply to our viewers.
Yeah, so there's a couple of issues. Number one, there aren't a lot of standards around how these economic indicators
Like
are
ISM.
released. Like ISM, right? There's literally a couple hundred economic factors around the world that traders are honing in on to try and develop trading strategies and
edges.
And edges. So I'm getting to that. But there isn't a standard for how you set up what's known as an embargo room, where the data comes out, a story is written, and then when you hit the 8:30 or the 10 o'clock, the horses are all supposed to leave the gates, so to speak, at the same time. Okay, so that's the first, there's kind of combination of issues, is that they're supposed to leave at the same time, but because there aren't standards between ISM or BLS or Michigan or Chicago and many, many others, sometimes there may be inadvertent inequalities or inefficiencies that need to be looked at. But let's just say they all leave the gate at the same time. Then you're off into proprietary processing where you can gain an edge. Maybe one news vendor.
Now, this is where I get lost. Okay. So keep the horse analogy.
Yeah.
10 o'clock Eastern, ISM's released. All the horses are exactly released at the same time, but it still can be gamed. Okay, go on, continue.
Okay, well, look, so you're buying the data from one of those news bureaus. So they are charging a premium for these services and these products, so they want to be the fastest. And so they're working on making sure that their computer is closest to wherever the data comes out, that their line is the fastest, that their algorithm processes.
So what we're really talking about is like when we do a hit, when Maria's in San Francisco, there's a little delay. So you're saying the horses all leave at the same time, but whose data gets in the computer and gets processed, that's where the speed issue is.
Sure.
Now, is this a victimless crime? In other words, these little crumbs that these HFT or these algorithmic traders are making are really little crumbs. So is there a victim here? The crumbs have to come from somewhere.
Well, we've talked a little bit about that. Let's go back a decade or two or three.
Well, listen, we're going to have to get to the crumbs later because we have a hard wrap. But basically, what Paul's going to go into next time we have him is, well, if the crumbs are small now, 5-10 years ago, the bid-offer spread was wider, so actually retail customers are better. That's the current debate. I promise we'll have Paul back. Carl, back to you.
Oh, man, let's hope it's not worse than it is today. Thanks a lot, Rick. Rick Santelli in Chicago.